The year was 2097, and the world had changed a lot. Cities were bigger, taller, and brighter than ever before. Cars flew through the air, robots walked on the streets, and computers could do almost anything humans asked them to. But even in this futuristic city, some things never change, like unfairness. Maya Carter lived in New Haven City, one of the most advanced cities in the world. She was 24 years old, smart, brave, and full of dreams. Her father, Marcus Carter, used to be a famous FBI agent who fought against crime and corruption. He taught Maya everything he knew about justice and fairness. Maya admired her father deeply, but she also wanted to make her own mark on the world. That's why she spent most of her time working on a secret project, a new kind of brain tech that could change how people communicated forever. That evening, Maya was driving home after a long day at work. The sun had set hours ago, and the city glowed with neon lights. Flying cars zipped past her vehicle as she drove along the highway. Everything seemed normal until a police drone hovered in front of her car. Its red light flashed, signaling her to pull over. Maya frowned. "What did I do?" she muttered under her breath. She hadn't broken any rules. Still, she slowed down and stopped her car by the side of the road. A few seconds later, a police officer approached her window. It was Officer Daxton Reed. Reed was tall and muscular, with sharp eyes that scanned Maya like a machine. He wore a sleek black uniform with glowing blue lines running across it. On his chest was a badge that read Neural Enforcement Division. This wasn't just an ordinary cop. It was someone trained to use advanced technology to catch criminals. "License and registration," Reed said coldly. His voice was firm, almost robotic. Maya nodded and handed him her documents. She kept calm, though something about Reed made her uneasy. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, as if she didn't belong there. Or maybe it was the strange device strapped to his wrist, which blinked with tiny green lights. Reed glanced at the papers, then tapped his wrist device. A holographic screen popped up in front of him, displaying Maya's information. For a moment, he stared at it silently. Then his expression hardened. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered. "Why? What's going on?" Maya asked, confused. "I said step out," Reed snapped, raising his voice. His tone sent a chill down Maya's spine. She hesitated for a second, then opened the door and stepped onto the sidewalk. Reed didn't waste time. He pulled out a small gadget from his belt and pressed it against Maya's temple. It was a neural scanner, a tool designed to read people's thoughts and detect criminal intent. The device hummed softly as it worked. After a few seconds, it beeped loudly. "High-risk individual detected," a mechanical voice announced. "Threat level, severe." "What? No, that's not possible," Maya exclaimed. She backed away instinctively, but Reed grabbed her arm tightly. "You're coming with me," he growled. "No, you don't understand. There's been a mistake," Maya pleaded. She tried to pull free, but Reed's grip was too strong. He dragged her toward his patrol car, ignoring her protests. As they drove to the detention center, Maya felt numb. How could this happen? She hadn't done anything wrong. Why was the scanner accusing her of being dangerous? And why did Reed seem so determined to arrest her? At the detention center, things only got worse. The building was massive, with steel walls and glowing blue doors. Robots called Sentinels patrolled the area, their red eyes scanning everyone who entered. These robots were supposed to be fair. They couldn't feel emotions or hold grudges. But Maya wasn't sure anymore. Inside, Reed handed Maya over to another officer. They took her fingerprints, scanned her face, and even recorded her voice. Then they locked her in a small cell with glowing white walls. There were no windows, no furniture, just a bed floating in midair thanks to magnetic forces. For hours, Maya sat alone, trying to figure out what went wrong. She replayed the events in her mind. The traffic stop, the neural scan, Reed's cold stare. It all felt wrong. Something wasn't adding up. Finally, late that night, another prisoner arrived. His name was Jackson, and he looked rough. Dirty clothes, messy hair, and bruises on his face. He introduced himself quietly, explaining that he'd been arrested for protesting against the government. "They don't care about us," Jackson whispered. "They'll do whatever it takes to keep us quiet." "What do you mean?" Maya asked. Jackson leaned closer. "You've heard of the Neural Hub, right? It's the main system controlling all the scanners and surveillance tech in the city. Well, let me tell you something. They rigged it. Those scanners aren't just looking for criminals. They're targeting certain groups of people, people like you and me." Maya's heart sank. Could it be true? Was the system biased? If so, that meant her arrest wasn't random, it was planned. As the hours passed, Maya started thinking about her father. Marcus Carter would be furious when he found out what happened. He always hated corruption in law enforcement. Would he come looking for her? Could he help clear her name? But for now, Maya was trapped. Alone in her cell, surrounded by machines that claimed to be fair but felt anything, but she realized this was only the beginning. Whatever was happening to her, it wasn't just about her. It was about something much bigger. And she needed to find out what. When Marcus Carter heard about his daughter's arrest, he felt like the ground beneath him had crumbled. Marcus wasn't just any father. He was a man who had spent his entire life fighting for justice. A retired FBI agent, he had worked hard to protect people from crime and corruption. But now his own flesh and blood was locked up in a detention center, accused of being dangerous. This wasn't just unfair. It was wrong. Marcus lived in a quiet apartment on the outskirts of New Haven City. It was late at night when he got the call. His phone buzzed loudly, breaking the silence. He picked it up, expecting a routine message. Instead, he heard a robotic voice saying, "Your daughter, Maya Carter, has been detained." "What?" Marcus shouted into the phone. "What do you mean she's been detained? Why?" The voice didn't answer. It simply repeated the same sentence again before hanging up. Marcus stared at the phone in disbelief. For a moment, he couldn't move. Then anger surged through him. He grabbed his coat, put on his shoes, and rushed out the door. Finding answers. Marcus knew where to start. He headed straight to the police station nearest to where Maya had been arrested. The streets were quiet at this hour, but Marcus didn't care. His mind raced with questions. Why was Maya arrested? What evidence did they have against her? And most importantly, how could he prove her innocence? At the station, Marcus found Officer Daxton Reed sitting behind a desk. Reed looked up as Marcus approached. His face showed no emotion, but Marcus could see the tension in his eyes. "I'm here about my daughter," Marcus said firmly. "Maya Carter, you arrested her tonight." Reed nodded. "That's correct." "On what grounds?" Marcus demanded. "She was flagged by the neural scanner as a high-risk individual," Reed replied without hesitation. "It's standard procedure." "A scanner doesn't make mistakes like that," Marcus snapped. "I know how these things work. Someone tampered with the data." Reed shrugged. "The system doesn't lie. If your daughter was flagged, she must be guilty." Marcus clenched his fists. He wanted to argue, but he knew Reed wouldn't listen. Instead, he decided to dig deeper. He left the station and went to an old friend, Detective Lena Hart. Lena had worked with Marcus years ago when they were both part of the FBI. Though retired now, she still had connections in law enforcement. Uncovering the truth, Lena met Marcus at a small cafe near her home. She listened carefully as he explained what happened. When he finished, she frowned. "This sounds bad," she said. "Neural scanners are supposed to be unbiased, but we've seen cases where they're rigged. If someone wanted to target Maya, they could have done it easily." "But why would anyone target her?" Marcus asked. "She hasn't done anything wrong." Lena hesitated. Maybe it's not about her directly. Maybe it's about something else, something she knows or has access to. Marcus thought about this. He remembered that Maya had been working on a secret project involving brain tech. Could that be the reason? If someone found out about her invention, they might see her as a threat. "Can you help me get more information?" Marcus asked. Lena nodded. "I'll try, but it won't be easy. These systems are heavily guarded." For the next few days, Marcus worked tirelessly. With Lena's help, he gained access to the records from the neural scanner used during Maya's arrest. What he discovered shocked him. The data showed that the scanner had flagged Maya based on outdated profiling algorithms, ones that targeted certain groups of people unfairly. "This is proof," Marcus muttered to himself. They used biased data to accuse her. But proving it wouldn't be simple. The authorities wouldn't admit their mistakes so easily. Marcus needed concrete evidence to clear Maya's name. Maya's discovery. While Marcus searched for answers outside, Maya was making discoveries of her own inside the detention center. After meeting Jackson, the other prisoner, she realized there was more to her arrest than she initially thought. Jackson told her stories about how the government used advanced tech to control people. "They say it's for safety," he whispered one night. "But really, it's about power. The neural hub collects everyone's data, your thoughts, your habits, even your dreams. They use it to keep tabs on us." Maya listened intently. She had always believed technology could improve lives. But hearing Jackson's words made her question everything. Was her arrest part of a bigger plan? Did they know about her project? One day, while guards escorted her to another room for questioning, Maya noticed something strange. A guard dropped a small device, a memory chip, on the floor. No one else seemed to notice. Without thinking, Maya quickly stepped on it, hiding it under her shoe. Later, back in her cell, she examined the chip. It contained files, hundreds of them. As she scrolled through the documents, her heart raced. The files revealed shocking details about the city's leaders. They were using the neural hub to spy on citizens and manipulate public opinion. Worst, they planned to expand the system to monitor every single person in the city. Maya realized this was why she'd been arrested. Someone must have found out about her brain tech and saw it as a threat. Her invention could expose their secrets or even shut down the neural hub entirely. A father's promise. Meanwhile, Marcus visited the detention center to see Maya. When he finally met her through a glass window, his heart broke. Maya looked tired but determined. She held up the memory chip and mouthed, "I have proof." Marcus understood immediately. He promised to help her get out and expose the truth. "Don't give up," he said softly. "We'll fix this together." As Marcus left the detention center, he felt a mix of emotions: anger, fear, and hope. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Powerful people were involved, and they wouldn't let go of their secrets without a fight. But Marcus also knew one thing for sure: he wouldn't stop until Maya was free and the truth came out. The first step. With new determination, Marcus returned to Lena's house. Together, they began planning their next move. They needed allies, people who could help them break into the neural hub and broadcast the stolen files to the public. It was a risky plan, but it was the only way to bring justice. "We can't do this alone," Lena warned. "We need someone trustworthy." Marcus nodded. "I know just the person." He reached out to an old colleague named Victor Kane, a tech expert who specialized in hacking and surveillance systems. Victor agreed to help, though he warned them it wouldn't be easy. "The neural hub is the most secure system in the city," Victor explained. "Breaking in will take time and skill." "We don't have much time," Marcus replied. "My daughter is counting on us." As the team prepared for their mission, Maya continued gathering evidence inside the detention center. She knew the stakes were high, but she refused to give up. With her father fighting for her freedom and her own discoveries building a case against the corrupt leaders, she felt a spark of hope. The wheels of justice were turning, slowly but surely, and soon the whole city would learn the truth. She didn't think twice. Using her quick thinking, she threw a metal pipe she picked up earlier straight at Reed. It hit him in the chest, knocking him off balance. While Reed recovered, Marcus regained his footing and tackled him to the ground. "Go," Marcus shouted to Maya. "Run." Maya hesitated for a split second, then bolted toward the exit. Outside, Lena and Victor were waiting with a hovercraft. As soon as Maya climbed aboard, they'd cook off into the night sky. Betrayal strikes. Back at their safe house, a small apartment tucked away in the slums of New Haven City, Maya and Marcus reunited with the rest of the team. Everyone was relieved to see them alive, but the celebration was short-lived. Early the next morning, there was a knock at the door. Marcus opened it cautiously, only to find Detective Harold Grayson standing there. Grayson was an old colleague of Marcus's, someone he trusted, but the look on Grayson's face told a different story. "I'm sorry, Marcus," Grayson said grimly. "They know where you are." "What?" Marcus exclaimed. "How?" Grayson hesitated. "Someone tipped them off. One of your contacts betrayed you." Marcus froze. He glanced at Lena, who shook her head in disbelief. Then his eyes landed on Victor. The tech expert looked uneasy, avoiding eye contact. "No," Marcus muttered. "Not you." Victor sighed. "I didn't want to, Marcus. They threatened my family. I had no choice." Maya stepped forward, her voice trembling with anger. Could she trust anyone anymore? Before anyone could say more, the sound of sirens filled the air. Police vehicles surrounded the building, their red and blue lights flashing ominously. The team scrambled to gather their belongings, but it was too late. Officers stormed the apartment, weapons drawn. "Hands up," one of them shouted. Marcus shielded Maya once again, but there was no escape this time. They were captured and taken back to the detention center. A shocking revelation. Locked in separate cells, Maya and Marcus struggled to process what had happened. Betrayal cut deep, especially from someone they thought they could trust. But the worst was yet to come. Later that day, Chief Prosecutor Evelyn Drake visited Maya's cell. She walked in calmly, her sharp suit gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Her presence sent chills down Maya's spine. "So, you're the famous Maya Carter," Evelyn said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Your little invention has caused quite a stir. What do you want?" Maya demanded, her voice shaking. Evelyn smiled coldly. "Let's cut to the chase. You've uncovered some inconvenient truths about our city. Truths that could destabilize everything we've built. Now here's the deal. Stay silent, and I'll make sure you and your father walk free. Or keep digging, and I'll ensure neither of you sees the light of day again." Maya stared at her, horrified. This wasn't just corruption. It was a conspiracy. Evelyn was willing to silence anyone who threatened her power. "No deal," Maya spat. "You can't scare me." Evelyn chuckled. "Brave words, but bravery won't save you." As Evelyn left the cell, Maya's mind raced. She realized the fight wasn't just about clearing her name anymore. It was about taking down a system that thrived on lies and oppression, and she was ready to risk everything to make it happen. Hope amidst despair. Despite the setbacks, Maya refused to give up. Back in her cell, she replayed the files on the memory chip over and over, looking for clues. There had to be a way to expose the truth. Outside, Marcus plotted their next move, determined to protect his daughter no matter the cost. Together, father and daughter vowed to keep fighting. The road ahead was dark and uncertain, but even in the bleakest moments, hope burned bright within them. After their failed escape and betrayal by Victor, Maya and Marcus found themselves back in the detention center. The walls felt colder this time, and the air heavier. It was as if the weight of the world rested on their shoulders. But even in the darkest moments, they refused to give up. They knew they had to fight back. Not just for themselves, but for everyone who suffered under the corrupt system. Joining forces. One night, while lying awake in her cell, Maya heard soft whispers outside. At first, she thought it was her imagination. But then a shadow moved near the bars of her cell. It was Jackson, the prisoner she'd met earlier. He had managed to sneak away from his own cell and was now standing in front of hers. "Maya," he whispered, "we need to talk." "What are you doing here?" Maya asked, sitting up quickly. "If they catch you." "I don't care about that," Jackson interrupted. "Listen, I know what's going on. I've been watching them. The guards, the sentinels, even Evelyn Drake. They're scared of you. Your project, it could destroy everything they've built." Maya frowned. "But how does that help us? We're stuck here." Jackson leaned closer. "There's a group outside, rebels called the Nexus. They've been fighting against the government for years. If we can get word to them, they might help us." Marcus, hearing the conversation from his nearby cell, chimed in. "Do you trust them?" Jackson nodded. "They're good people, and right now, they're our only hope." Maya hesitated. Trust didn't come easily these days, not after Victor's betrayal. But she knew they couldn't do this alone. "All right," she said finally. "Let's try." With Jackson's help, Maya and Marcus devised a risky plan. They would smuggle a message out of the detention center using one of the maintenance robots that occasionally passed through the cells. These robots weren't monitored closely, making them perfect carriers. Maya wrote a short note on a scrap of paper, detailing their situation and asking for assistance. She folded it carefully and tucked it into the robot's cargo compartment. As the machine rolled away, she prayed it would reach its destination, meeting the Nexus. A few days later, Maya and Marcus were surprised to hear commotion outside their cells. Guards shouted orders, and the sound of explosions echoed through the halls. Moments later, a group of masked figures burst into the detention center, armed with advanced weapons and hacking devices. One of the figures approached Maya's cell and unlocked it. When the mask came off, Maya saw a young woman with fiery red hair and piercing green eyes. "You must be Maya," the woman said with a smile. "I'm Zara, leader of the Nexus. We got your message." Relief washed over Maya. "Thank you," she said. "You have no idea how much this means." Zara helped Marcus and Maya escape, along with Jackson and a few other prisoners. Together, they fled to a hidden underground base where the Nexus operated. The base was a maze of tunnels and rooms filled with tech equipment, maps, and supplies. It was clear this group had been preparing for something big. Planning the attack at the base, Zara gathered everyone for a meeting. She explained that the Nexus had been working to expose the corruption behind the neural hub for years. Maya's discovery of the memory chip was exactly what they needed to take down the system once and for all. We need to break into the central neural hub, Zara said firmly. It's the heart of their surveillance network. If we can upload the files from your chip to the public network, everyone will see the truth. But how do we get in? Marcus asked. It's the most secure building in the city. That's where you come in, Zara replied, turning to Maya. Your brain tech expertise is crucial. You'll need to disable the security systems and reprogram the sentinels inside. Maya nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. She had never done anything like this before, but she knew it was their best shot. Victor Kane's betrayal still weighed heavily on the group, especially Marcus. What if someone else betrays us? He asked. We won't let that happen, Zara assured him. Trust is earned, and we've proven ourselves many times over. You're safe with us. Tough choices. As the team prepared for the mission, Maya struggled with difficult decisions. The plan involved hacking into the neural hub's core system, a process that could potentially harm innocent people caught in the crossfire. Maya didn't want anyone to get hurt, but she also knew there was no other way to stop the corruption. Is this really worth it? She asked Marcus one night. What if we fail? Or worse, what if we hurt people in the process? Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. I won't lie to you, it's dangerous. But sometimes you have to take risks to make things better. Just think about all the lives we'll save if we succeed. Maya sighed. I just wish there was another way. There isn't, Marcus said gently. And deep down, you know that. Maya nodded reluctantly. She knew her father was right. Still, the thought of causing harm made her uneasy. Gearing up. Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to prepare for the attack. Zara assigned roles to everyone, ensuring each member knew their part. Maya spent hours practicing with the hacking tools, while Marcus helped strategize the entry points. Jackson volunteered to serve as a decoy, drawing attention away from the main team. Victor Kane's betrayal lingered in the background, casting a shadow over their efforts. No one mentioned his name, but the pain of losing a trusted ally was evident in their expressions. Despite this, the group remained focused. They couldn't afford to let emotions cloud their judgment. Finally, the day of the mission arrived. Everyone gathered in the briefing room, checking their gear one last time. Zara addressed the team, her voice steady and confident. This is it, she said. Tonight, we change the future of New Haven City. Stick to the plan, watch each other's backs. And remember why we're doing this. Let's show them that justice will always prevail. The team cheered, their spirits lifted by Zara's words. Maya took a deep breath, clutching the memory chip tightly. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. Breaking in. The team split into two groups. One group, led by Zara, created a diversion by attacking a nearby police station. The second group, including Maya and Marcus, headed straight for the central neural hub. Getting inside was easier than expected. Maya used her skills to bypass the security cameras and disable the alarms. Once inside, they encountered a squad of sentinels guarding the entrance to the core system. Leave this to me, Maya whispered, pulling out her hacking device. She connected it to the sentinel control panel and began typing furiously. Within seconds, the robots froze in place, their glowing eyes dimming. Nice work, Marcus said, patting her on the back. The team moved deeper into the facility, reaching the central chamber where the neural hub's core system was located. It was a massive sphere surrounded by glowing wires and screens displaying streams of data. Maya stepped forward, inserting the memory chip into the main terminal. The screen lit up as the files began uploading to the public network. Messages flashed across the screens. Neural hub exposed. Government corruption revealed. Citizens deserve freedom. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the building. Officer Daxton Reed and a team of guards stormed into the room, weapons drawn. You're too late, Maya shouted triumphantly. The truth is already out. Reed growled in frustration, raising his weapon. Before he could fire, Zara and her group appeared, having finished their diversion. A fierce battle ensued, with both sides exchanging fire. Maya and Marcus ducked behind cover, shielding themselves from the chaos. Victory and sacrifice. In the end, the team emerged victorious. The files were successfully uploaded, and the citizens of New Haven City began rising up against their corrupt leaders. The neural hub's power faded as people demanded change, but victory came at a cost. During the final confrontation, Jackson sacrificed himself to protect Maya and Marcus. His bravery inspired the team to keep fighting, even when the odds seemed impossible. As the dust settled, Maya looked around at the faces of her allies. They were battered and bruised, but they stood tall. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of hope. The fight wasn't over yet, but they had taken the first step toward a better future. The final confrontation. After escaping the central neural hub, the team regrouped at their underground base. Everyone was exhausted but determined. The citizens of New Haven City were already reacting to the leaked files. Protests erupted across the city as people demanded answers from their leaders. But the corrupt officials weren't going down without a fight. Chief Prosecutor Evelyn Drake called an emergency press conference. Standing on a stage surrounded by cameras and reporters, she looked calm and composed, but her eyes betrayed her fear. "This so-called exposure is nothing but lies," she declared, her voice sharp. "A group of criminals is trying to destabilize our society. Rest assured, we will find them and bring them to justice." Her words sent a chill through Maya. She knew Evelyn wouldn't stop until she silenced anyone who threatened her power. And now, Maya and her team were at the top of her list. Zara turned to the group. "We need to finish this once and for all. If we can broadcast the full truth directly to the people, we'll cut off Evelyn's support completely." Maya nodded. "But how?" "They'll be watching every move we make." "We use your brain tech," Zara replied. "It's the only way to bypass their systems. You'll need to connect to the main communication grid and send the message yourself." Maya hesitated. Using her invention in such a high-stakes situation was risky. It could overload the system, or even harm her. But she didn't have a choice. This was their last chance. Facing Officer Reed, the team planned their final attack carefully. Their goal was to infiltrate the government's main broadcasting tower, where Evelyn would deliver another speech to the public. If they could interrupt her broadcast, they could reveal the truth live to millions of viewers. As they approached the tower, Officer Daxton Reed appeared out of nowhere, blocking their path. His uniform was torn, and his face was bruised from their earlier encounter, but his determination hadn't wavered. "You're not getting past me," Reed growled, raising his weapon. Marcus stepped forward, shielding Maya behind him. "Reed, listen to reason. You've been lied to. Evelyn doesn't care about protecting the city. She only cares about control." Reed sneered. "Don't try to fool me. People like you. You're the real threat." Before Reed could act, Maya stepped forward. "You don't understand what's really happening, do you?" she said softly. "They used you, just like they used everyone else. Your hatred, it's exactly what they wanted." For a moment, Reed hesitated. Doubt flickered in his eyes, but it quickly vanished. With a shout, he lunged at Marcus, tackling him to the ground. "Dad," Maya cried. She reacted instinctively, grabbing a nearby metal pipe and swinging it at Reed. It hit him squarely in the arm, knocking his weapon away. Reed stumbled back, clutching his injury. "I don't want to hurt you," Maya said firmly. "But I will if I have to." Reed glared at her, breathing heavily. For a second, it seemed like he might attack again, but then he lowered his head in defeat. Without another word, he turned and walked away. The broadcast. With Reed out of the picture, the team pressed on. They reached the broadcasting tower and fought their way inside. Guards tried to stop them, but Zara and her team held them off while Maya made her way to the control room. Evelyn was already there, preparing for her speech. When she saw Maya, her calm demeanor shattered. "You!" Evelyn snarled. "How dare you interfere?" "It's over, Evelyn," Maya said calmly. "The people deserve to know the truth." Evelyn laughed coldly. "And what makes you think they'll believe you?" Lies spread faster than truth. Maya didn't respond. Instead, she connected her device to the broadcasting system. Lines of code scrolled across the screen as she hacked into the network. Within moments, her face appeared on every screen in the city. "Citizens of New Haven," Maya began, her voice steady. "What you've seen in the leaked files is true. Our leaders have been using advanced technology to spy on us, manipulate us, and control us. They rigged the neural scanners to target innocent people, all to maintain their power." Behind her, Evelyn tried to disconnect the broadcast, but Maya blocked her attempts. "It's too late," Maya said. "The truth is out." Evelyn screamed in frustration, lunging at Maya. The two women struggled briefly, but Maya managed to push her away. Exhausted, Evelyn collapsed onto the floor, tears streaming down her face. "You ruined everything," Evelyn whispered bitterly. "No," Maya replied. "You did this to yourself." The shocking twist. Just as Maya thought the worst was over, something unexpected happened. A hidden program within the neural hub activated, a failsafe created by Evelyn herself. On every screen, a video began playing. It showed Evelyn admitting to orchestrating the entire conspiracy. I did it for the greater good. Evelyn said in the recording, people can't be trusted to govern themselves. They needed guidance, even if they didn't realize it. The video ended with a chilling message. If you're watching this, it means my plan has failed. But remember, someone must always be in control. The revelation stunned everyone. Evelyn had anticipated her downfall and left this confession as her final act of defiance. As the video faded, Evelyn pulled out a small device from her pocket, a self-destruct mechanism. No, Marcus shouted, rushing toward her. But it was too late. Evelyn pressed the button, and a blinding light filled the room. When the dust settled, she was gone. A new beginning. In the days that followed, the city began to heal. The citizens rallied together, demanding reforms and accountability. The neural hub was dismantled, and the sentinels were reprogrammed to serve the people instead of controlling them. Maya became a symbol of hope, a young woman who'd stood up against corruption and won. She continued working on her brain tech, ensuring it would be used for good rather than evil. Marcus watched proudly as his daughter inspired others to fight for justice. But Maya knew the work wasn't done. Corruption couldn't be erased overnight, and there would always be new challenges to face. Still, she remained hopeful. Together, she and her allies had proven that even in the darkest times, change was possible. One evening, as Maya stood on a rooftop overlooking the city, Marcus joined her. The neon lights reflected in their eyes as they gazed at the horizon. We did it, Marcus said quietly. For now, Maya replied, but there's still more to do. Marcus smiled. I'm proud of you, Maya. You've changed the world. Maya nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. The road ahead would be long, but she was ready. Justice wasn't just a dream, it was a promise, and she intended to keep it.